You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Fafalius, and I'm the producer of DeMakes, a podcast, and the host of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
And I'm Matt Kelly, host of Horror Movie Night and the producer / the head of content for the Geekscape Podcasting Network.
Between the two of us, we have, believe it or not, 25 years of podcasting experience, and we want to help you start your own podcast.
We know podcasting, and we want to share that knowledge with you.
So whether you're new to podcasting or you want some feedback on your currently active podcast, we want to help.
Or perhaps you're just overwhelmed with all of the editing work. Well, we can help you with that also.
You can contact us at info@weknowpodcasting.com for more information.
We're excited to help your podcasting dreams become a reality.
Hey everyone, today's guest is my pal Mike Burkett, better known as Fat Mike, bassist and lead vocalist for the San Francisco, California punk rock band NOFX. Mike and I discussed two songs today, the first being Linoleum, arguably one of the most well-known NOFX songs. The track, which is taken from their 1994 platinum-selling album Punk and Drublic, has been covered by over 700 different artists and remains a live staple in the band's repertoire to this day. We talk about how there is no chorus in the whole song, and basically it's just one long verse and a bridge. Then we jumped into the sequel to Linoleum. Written more than 25 years later, Linoleum is a fresh take on the original, keeping several key elements of the former song, but adding so many new twists and turns that it becomes its own animal and stands alone as its own song. Mike enlisted the help of Avenged Sevenfold and their two-guitar attack that provided some crazy solos to the track. The lyrics of Linoleum specifically talk about putting linoleum to rest. When I questioned Mike if he truly means that Linoleum is retired from NoFX's live shows, he gave an unpredictable and as vague an answer that only he could. For all this and much more, don't touch that dial.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast.
So, what am I doing on your show?
Well, you're on the show for a number of reasons. You're my friend, and a number of my listeners have requested you, and there's quite a bit to talk about. You know, Linoleum, the original song, is over 25 years old. You got a new record coming out called Single Album on February 26th, which features the sequel to Linoleum, Linewleum, which is awesome. So, yeah, I just kind of want to jump in and start with Linoleum and just say congratulations on the song's continued success. The thing just has legs, man.
I don't understand it, but I'll take it.
I know the song kind of marvels you. I've talked to you about this before because, as you've stated many times, it's in the lyrics of Linoleum. There's really no chorus to this song. It's got such a strange arrangement, and it's like one of your most popular tracks.
I just don't think to write choruses very often because it stops the story. Singing the same thing over and over, it's just kind of dumb. You ever heard that Doug Stanhope record where he talks about, I was playing chicken in my sleep, and just keep saying that. Because, in comedy, you can't just keep repeating the punchline. It's not funny anymore. It's not how it works. You have to come up with new original material every word, every sentence. And I kind of feel that way about music, too. Why do you have to make it easy for people?
You're right, and it does kind of stop the story.
And it makes people sick of a song sooner. It really does. When you keep hearing a chorus, you want to hear if the chorus sings 4 times, you want to hear the song 4 times as less because you're sick of it already. Yeah. So I do choruses sometimes, but usually if I do a chorus, it's only twice, at the most.
Right. And of course, Linoleum was the lead-off track off Punk and Drublic, which came out in July of 94. Can you set up the track? Do you remember writing it?
I do remember writing it, and it was a mistake. I was trying to go E to A minor, and I just went to the wrong chord. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting.
So that's how it came about.
Yeah, I think that's why people like it, because you don't expect that second chord.
Right. It's interesting. The opening guitar riff happens. The whole intro is 21 seconds long, and then the full band kicks in, and that killer octave part comes in. It's just so catchy, and it's just so you guys. And then it goes back to just the guitar riff by itself, and then you're in the first verse. And when you wrote the song, after you made that mistake and you're writing it, do you remember if everything kind of came in one sitting, or did you kind of have to go back to it and finish the lyrics, or was the idea just kind of there from the beginning? Because the song is, only 2 minutes and 10 seconds long. What's
cool is I just found those lyrics. I just found the handwritten lyrics.
Oh, cool.
For that whole album. It's the only album I have the lyrics for. And there is no crossouts. I just kind of wrote it one day because, the lyrics are they're simple. It's about our friend Mark Curry, who wrote Perfect Government. And no, it was an easy write. I didn't toil over that song.
Do you recall when you brought it to the band and what they thought of it initially?
No, I don't. I mean, the thing is with NOFX, we don't learn songs and practice. We've always lived in different cities. So we get together to do an album, and we usually rehearse for like a week, learn the songs, and just record them. And that was the old days. Now it's just Smiley comes in, I teach him the song, he plays it, and then we just lay tracks over it. Like right now, NOFX, we're actually going to try to jam, which is something we've never done. We're not touring, and we all live in LA now. We're going to try to get together and actually play as a band, which is so weird.
I was going to say, you guys are going on 40 years as a band. Why now?
It was my idea, and it's really a stupid idea. I don't think it's going to work. Especially because the songs I'm writing right now, I don't know why, but it's how I usually write. But, the verses have 16 chords, and the choruses have 8 or 16 chords. It's just how I've been writing. And teaching that to Hefe is it's crazy. And he'll learn it eventually. And then if you change something, then it's a headache. It's just, I don't know, 4 people in one room. What a nightmare. And now we have Karina in the band too.
I know. Will she be joining you for these jam sessions?
We don't know yet. 'Cause our record isn't out yet. And we already recorded a couple songs for our new album.
For the one after the one that's coming out.
Yeah, our new album will be out in November. This is like an old album. It's been in the can for a year.
Okay, so single album, the other new album, single album's coming out February 26th, and then the next album's going to come out in November.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 2 records this year.
That's great. Well, good for you.
That's the plan anyway.
Congratulations. Getting into the lyrics, you said this was about your friend Mark. Was this completely autobiographical about him, or were you just kind of taking the piss at him?
Well, it can't be autobiographical about him.
Well, was it biographical about it? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just about him, about how he was comfortable sleeping on a kitchen floor. And, it's like Bob. Bob was written about our friend Bob. Uh-huh. They're all true stories with a little, color added.
We want to get into the lyrics real quick. Possessions never meant anything to me. I'm not crazy. Well, that's not true. I've got a bed and a guitar and a dog named Bob who pisses on my floor. That's right. I've got a floor. So what? So what? So what? And that line, how many times have I heard this song? A million. I've seen you guys play it live. And when I researched the lyrics on Google, it kept coming up Bob, and then eventually it came up to what I thought it was. Has anybody else ever thought that you said, and a dog named Dog that pisses on my floor?
Yeah, that's what I sing. Yeah, the lyrics don't match up. That's just how it is. You got to live with
it. So you say dog live?
Yeah, I say dog on the record too, I think. Or I don't know, but I know that the lyrics don't match.
Okay. On the record, I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, I think I sang Bob.
Yes,
but the lyrics are a dog named Dog.
Well, I looked at
a dog named Dog is better.
Okay. I always
change the lyrics to Dog.
You've said okay. I was gonna say I had to have heard it Dog live because damn it, I printed the lyrics out first and then I went back and listened to the track. I'm like, he does say Bob. And I just thought it was a typo on Google, as it usually is, thinking like, okay, you got a song called Bob, so someone threw Bob in there, but he says dog, right?
No, it's because back then it would take me so long to sing a lyric, to sing a line in a song. It would take me 3 or 4 hours to sing a song. So if I got the line in pitch, even if the word is wrong, I'd keep it. That happens a lot.
Okay. Well,
So on our new album, there's a line that does not make sense, and it's because I mispronounced it, and I kept it because it's in pitch.
that works.
Yeah. So, you know,
Well,
it works.
Going through what I'm still considering verse 1 here in Linoleum, I got pockets full of Kleenex and lint holes where everything important to me just seems to fall right down my leg and onto the floor. My closest friend, Linoleum. And then there's like a little verse.
That's another thing, Chris, is there's no rhymes.
I know.
There's very few rhymes in the song. It's just, I just wrote stream of consciousness lyrics, and they fit into the song. So that's maybe another reason why so many people like it, because it's not easy. Every line is a surprise, you know, the first time you hear it.
No, and I think that's a knack that you have. I have a hard time when stuff doesn't rhyme. It almost sounds unnatural. There's been some instances, but I guess it kind of goes with what you were talking about earlier. No chorus. You're telling a story, and the story doesn't need to rhyme. When you're telling a story, it's not rhyming, and this works perfectly.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot. I used to not rhyme a lot, and after writing a musical, I got into the habit of rhyming, and I'm trying to get out of that habit now. You know, Brett Gurewitz, he doesn't rhyme a lot either. Mm-hmm. I think it makes better songs. A musical has to rhyme because you only hear it once, you know, unless you have the soundtrack. But if you just go to it, your mind it expects a rhyme, and it makes it easier to understand what's going on.
That's really, really interesting. There's a little verse tag here, I'm calling it, the part where it says, supports my head, gives me something to believe. And then it goes to the next part, which I guess it goes to a bridge. Is that what you would call the that's me on the beach side
Yes.
combing the sand?
It's a bridge.
It's a bridge. Okay. And I'm gonna read
no chorus.
I'm gonna read the bridge here. That's me on the beach side combing the sand, metal meter in my hand, sporting a pocket full of change. That's me on the street with a violin under my chin, playing with a grin, singing gibberish. And again, I just think the imagery here, the story that you're telling, I think that's another part of this song why people can relate to it. I don't know. I mean, we've all seen the guy on the beachside combing the sand with the meter, the metal meter. You know, it's something that just kind of, it's just relatable. When you got to this point, at any point when you were writing it, did you think this is the pre-chorus, or did you always be like, oh, this is the bridge?
Well, there's no chorus,
right,
at all. But it just sounds like a bridge because it's a different time signature. Mm-hmm. But that's another weird thing about this song is the chords really don't change very much, mm-hmm. which is very rare for me. 3 out of the 4 chords never change. Just one chord changes here and there. And that's just weird. That's a weird way to write.
Going off what you were talking about before, where there's not that repetitive of a same chorus, it almost helps that the music of the song is repetitive. So I don't know, that it's easy to remember for people maybe, or something. There's just something about this track that's it shouldn't work, but it does.
Exactly. It shouldn't work, but it's short, it's energetic, and people just go crazy for it. But I really don't understand why so many bands cover it, but I'm okay with it. We just made a new video too, you know.
Oh, I saw it. If you haven't checked out the video, everybody out there, you have to. The Linoleum features. Another one on top of that?
You haven't seen the new video. We made it yesterday.
Oh, sorry. I was speaking of the one that's already out there. No, you did one yesterday. What's that about? Can you share that at all?
It's got 100 different bands in it.
You found 100 even more?
It's got all the bands we left out. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, to the listeners, check out the video with Linoleum, with Avenged Sevenfold, and when's the new one coming out?
Any day now.
Any day now. Okay.
Maybe
Well, you'll be able to see them both probably when this episode airs. I know you said it at the end of the Avenged Sevenfold video you did, and I do believe you meant it. How humbling is that? Of all those bands around the world that love this song, that have put their stamp on it, albeit some poorly.
Yeah, it was humbling when I realized that, because I was just looking on the internet a while ago, a couple years ago, and I just started tagging all the bands that did it, and I did it for like 3 or 4 hours, I don't know, and it was really weird because, you know, I looked up a couple of our other songs, and there's a few, but it's just that one song.
Well, there's something else too, and maybe it's because it's the first track on Punk and Drublic, which was just such a breakout record for you guys, that maybe that has something to do with it too, the immediacy of it, that it was the first track.
I just think it's because it doesn't sound like anything else. It's the signature NOFX song.
Right.
You know, we got that rhythm It's short and all the things. No rhymes, no chorus, short, just pure energy. It's not trying very hard.
No, it's not. It.
That's what it is. I didn't try very hard to write that song. I just wrote it fast.
I've said on this show a number of times, it's the most popular songs, the hits, so to speak, with the fans that were written and not really thought about. You kind of just threw this idea out there that was kind of linear. It is what it is. And don't take this the wrong way. I love Linoleum. I think it's an awesome song, but I like probably 30 NOFX songs ahead of that are just my favorites. But it's amazing that this is the standout one that everyone's latched onto and everyone's covered and given so much love to.
Yeah, it is weird, and I agree. I like so many other NOFX songs better, but I'll take it. And this song and the new song is fun. It's very meta, and that song was fun to write.
We're going to get to that in a second because I have, it's funny. I thought I would have more to talk about with Linoleum, the original, but I don't. I have so much to talk about with the new track because there's just so much there. It's such a cool, just wacky arrangement. But I want to get to what I'm calling here. I would call this the outro, the end of Linoleum, the original song, which is almost back to the verse, I guess. It's got the verse chords. That's me on the back of the bus. That's me in the cell. That's me inside your head. That's me inside your head. That's me inside your head, with just those harmonies there. And you started to get into that a little bit on White Trash, Two Heaves and a Bean, but this was the first time where it was just like, wow. I'll never forget hearing that for the first time. Those harmonies are just so catchy and just out of left field. Do you remember how that ending, those harmonies came together?
Well, I was just Hefe. Hefe was just going for it, and we threw in like one of the Oz's major, and it's weird. You know, our harmonies are never parallel. They're always different from melody, and that one just turned out super good. Hefe's got such a natural ear for shit like that. Yeah, weird. And I can't believe I say inside your head. I say that 3 times too. That's so lazy. Such lazy writing.
That's your chorus. That's your repetitive part.
Right. Jesus.
Did you ever hear the isolated vocal tracks from this song? It's on YouTube. I don't know if you ever listened to it or not.
Is it really?
Yeah. And when you're talking about that major harmony at the end, I know what you're talking about. I listened to it last night.
That's me inside your head. That's me inside your head. That's me inside your head.
And that one you're talking about, it's like a low growl that Hefe does. It's like you can really hear his growliness coming out in his voice. And his other one's like the high one, the high harmony that's super smooth. It's really neat.
Oh, I want to listen to that. I had no idea. I guess Ryan Green put that up online at some point.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
It's a weird record. It's also, we had a weird guitar sound. We used this crazy amp. It's a metal guitar sound.
It is.
And that's the only record of ours that sounds like that. Like our guitar tones now are super clean.
Right. Which a lot of bands took a page out of your book with punk and drum. Like, I mean, I hear it in the later Lagwagon records, definitely strung out with the metal guitars. You know, you guys kind of had that blueprint for the fat sound. One last thing about Linoleum before we move on to Linoleum. Ryan Green, what do you remember about Ryan with this song in particular? Did he bring anything to the table, or did he just kind of record it as the idea that you had?
But yeah, he came up with a lot of production ideas later on in our career. Not on that record. That record was recorded super fast, and he wasn't supposed to be the producer engineer. It's supposed to be Donald Cameron, but Donald was in rehab. So we just hired Ryan like a week before. He was a demo engineer.
Right, because Donald did White Trash.
And Longest Line, and we'd worked with him a lot.
So you kind of met Ryan Green by default then?
Yeah, he was a demo engineer. Like, bands would go to EMI studios and just record demos, and Brett recorded a few songs there, and he goes, I know this guy. So it just happened really fast, and we recorded a lot of it at EMI studios too.
Okay, yeah, because it said it was recorded at West Beach Recorders.
Just drums.
Oh, just the drums were. Okay, because of course Ryan worked out of Motor Studios for the most part for your later records, which the new song Linoleum was recorded at Motor.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into this. So you're sitting around And what was the idea here? You're thinking Linoleum is 25 years old, and I'm going to write a sequel to it. And there's some lyrics in here that allude to the fact that maybe you might never play the original Linoleum again. You're putting it out to pasture. So what was the thought here when you wrote Linoleum?
Well, writing this album, it was a double album, and when you write a double album, it's a very different mindset. And I'm just trying to write original material, original songs that no one's ever heard before, subject matter. And I put all kinds of stuff on this double album that I don't think anyone's ever done before. This is one of those things. So I just come up with ideas. Okay, shit, I'm going to play our most popular song. The real idea was just changing the chords and the melody, because it fucks your mind up. The first time you hear it, you're like, oh, cool. And then I change the chord, and it goes to the place where it should have gone originally. You know, it goes to the original chord, and then it just fucks with your brain. It's a very weird feeling when you know a song so well. And I don't know if another band, I've never heard another band do it. I've never heard another band do that. Just change their own song in a way like that, chords and melody. And then I just decided to start writing lyrics about doing that.
Well, I can't think of another instance either.
Right. So I think I did two things here that no one's done in the same song. And it's so meta, singing about writing the song. People have done that before, but I don't think they've ever sung about retiring their biggest song.
No, I think that's definitely a first. And something about this track that I find just really interesting is what you said a moment ago, that you're expecting, because there's elements of it, and you're expecting it to go into the original like an updated version, and it's not. It just takes you completely somewhere else.
I know, and we put electronic drums in there, and like even the ending, it goes 5 times instead of 4 times. It doesn't end where it's supposed to. It's to annoy people. Uh-huh. It's just to bug people.
Well, even when the riff happens after verse 2, it's only half of the riff earlier in the song. Yeah. Dun, 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 and then it's like knee jerk. It kind of makes you go, "Whoa, what was that?"
And
it's really cool.
The drum rolls are just so weird. Puts you in a weird state of mind. That's what I was planning. It's like an adventure.
Well, I have to ask, did the Avenged Sevenfold, did they play on this track?
Oh yeah. The funniest part of this was I called them up and I said, "Do you guys want to play on our new song? We redid Linoleum." And they're like, "Hell yeah, that'd be awesome," because they used to cover it.
Of course, yeah, they used to do it at Warped Tour. I'd see them all the time.
And I sent them the song. I sent it to them, and they called back 10 minutes later, and they said, "Are you talking shit about us in the song?" I go, "Well, yeah." Is that a problem? Because there's a line when every hopeless band plays it wrong. That's them.
Right.
Hi, podcast listeners. I'm Carol Costello, a former CNN anchor and national correspondent. This January, I'm launching a podcast about one of the first cases I ever covered as a journalist. It's one that stuck with me all of these years, the one that buried itself under my skin and stayed put. It's a true crime series about an amazing woman named Phyllis Cottle, who defied torture and death and brought a fierce rage to the quest to find her attacker. Carol Costello presents Blind Rage. It's a production of Evergreen Podcasts and signature title of the Killer Podcast Network. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Discover more great true crime and paranormal programming at killerpodcast.com.
Yeah.
They go, "Are we the hopeless band?" I go, "You sure are." And they go, "No, it's not a problem. We'll still do it."
Hey, play on my song. I'm talking shit about you.
They play the guitar leads, which are really crazy guitar leads.
They're gnarly, and I love at the end when Hefe and Melvin are looking at him just like with this bizarre look in their face, like, "What are you doing?" Because the licks are just so crazy fast and good. I almost thought, is this Smelly on the track, or is that Brooks playing?
Oh, it's Smelly.
Unreal. The drum fills are so crazy, and I thought for sure, no offense, Smelly is amazing. I thought for sure that Brooks had a hand in this because, okay, let's back up. The beginning of the song
no song ever took Smelly so long to play because I wanted the rolls to be super crazy, and I worked on a lot of it on a keyboard, keyboard drums.
Uh-huh.
So there were crazy rolls on the demo. He's like, what the fuck?
I was going to say, when we program drums for our drummers, they hate that.
Yeah. He's not crazy about it, but it's kind of what I've been doing. I work with this guy, Baz, on a lot of stuff, and he's always around, so we just program stuff.
Well, the beginning of this, I thought for sure that the beginning was maybe something that Avenge came up with. It just sounds unlike anything you've ever done before. The intro is so weird to this song and to where it goes.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird because it sounds like Linoleum, but it's so slow and dirgy and weird. The whole thing is weird.
Well, the whole arrangement's insane, and we're going to get into that in a moment. But the intro, I just couldn't make sense of it. And this song was not immediate for me. I didn't get this song till probably the 5th or 6th listen, and now I love it. At first, it was just kind of like, I don't really get this. And now I get it from the standpoint of, yeah, it's supposed to be weird. It's supposed to be out there. It's supposed to be, and the lyrics are hilarious.
If you listen to Linoleum now, it's weird. Now, when you listen to the original, that sounds weird.
Yeah, true. When I was A-Bing these, it's like they're kind of the same song, but they're not. Linoleum is 1 minute and 10 seconds longer than Linoleum. The track clocks in at 3 minutes and 19 seconds. The intro is 29 seconds, and then the original guitar riff comes in. Okay, and you think, okay, they did this little intro, kind of harkens back to the original, and now the riff comes in, and then it just goes anywhere but where you think it's going to go. 40 seconds in, we're into the first verse. Intellectual property never meant anything to me, so I'm not crazy for trying to pimp out a classic song. At 25 years old, it's the humane thing to do, even though we know you think it's wrong. But after 700 covers and 1,800 shows, and because it's the song that Colombians love to hum, no rhyme there, we voted to pull the plug and euthanize Linoleum.
So I am rhyming in this song.
A little bit. You saying you're going to euthanize the song?
Yeah, that's in Backstage Passport. In Backstage Passport, we didn't get to play that show in Bogota, and there's that bar where all the kids are singing Linoleum, which that was just heartbreaking. So that's what I mean there.
That's really
cool. And euthanize, as well as anyone, you've probably played more shows than NOFX, playing the songs that you have to play every time. It just gets a little old.
Is there real consideration to putting this song out to pasture, the original?
Oh sure.
So you're going to give him Linoleum.
If we can, well, we tried to practice Linoleum and it didn't go over well. So if we can actually figure out how to play it right, then they get Linoleum.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not kidding. I thought that because Avenged Sevenfold was in the video that they played this track until we get to the next part. Dun, 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 dun. I'm like, that's Mike. That riff is so freaking cool, man. It's such a total departure and a crazy time signature turnaround. And you get 2 lines. I think I was born into this world to piss people off. And then there's just this breakneck turnaround where, holy shit, now you're in verse 2.
Yeah, it's not the right amount of the measure is not even. It's like a 7.5 count instead of an 8 count.
Yeah, it shouldn't work. I'm listening to it, and I had to rewind it like 4 times. I'm going, it doesn't work, but it does.
You have to get used to it.
I think I was born into this world to piss people off, so I'm doing what no smart man never would.
It's just another thing in the song that was supposed to be annoying. And when you do stuff on keyboard drums, it's easy to do that. And you just got to listen to it a few times.
Yeah, like I said, you want to piss off the drummer in your band, program drums on a keyboard and go, hey, can you play this? Because I'm not a drummer. It sounds good on the keyboard, but you give it to a drummer, like that's kind of impossible to play. And I could see where Smelly probably tore his hair out with this one, because that just alone, that section with the time signature you're speaking of, that's one of the craziest turnarounds I've ever heard in a NOFX song.
Yeah, well, it took him 8 hours all in all to do the song.
Wow.
So yeah, he was happy. He was stoked, and that's with Bill Stevens in there, you know.
Oh, so you got one of the best drummers hawking over you while you're trying to play.
Bill really worked on it.
Yeah, I could imagine that. Getting into verse 2, so I'm doing what no smart band never would. I'm taking our one well-known song and trying to make it not very good.
Yeah, some people would say it's not as good as the first one. I don't know. I mean, it's not, but it's cool. I like the melody a lot.
Yeah, it's just, you can't really compare it to the first song only in the context of it. It's a completely different animal. Here's where I was talking about after you say it's not very good, that opening guitar riff happens again, but it's only like half a one, and it just kind of makes you go, whoa, what just happened? And then you're into what I'm calling verse 3.
Not very good. Linoleum never meant anything to me.
Which is probably one of my favorite lyrics in the song. Linoleum never meant anything to me. I never even wrote a chorus, just verses and a bridge. It's like bulldozing a bowling alley for a used record store. Decomposing your best song is sacrilege. But when most hopeless bands play it wrong, and it's in Latigra's best song, and it was the last song that Tony ever played, it's time to put Linoleum out to stud and make sure that it gets laid.
Yeah. Going to the glue factory. Yeah. Do you know that Latigra, I wrote that song about Kathleen Hanna, and she responded by putting Linoleum in the first song on the Latigra album. It's cool because it's their best song too. I love that Latigra song.
And Kathleen was for the listeners, was of course in Bikini Kill, and I remember when that whole thing went down, there was a lot of controversy with that. So the fact that you stuck that in the song here is pretty hilarious.
And what do you mean, controversy? Me controversial? No, never.
Never. Halfway through that verse, it goes halftime. Again, when you were writing the song, was this almost feels in a weird way like a mini decline to me, this song. There's just so many different little parts and textures with it. Was this all kind of written linear in one sitting, or did you have different parts that you were putting together and Frankensteining it?
Yeah, I don't remember. This whole album was written while on a lot of drugs and alcohol.
You?
It was all late night writing. Which, and right now I'm sober right now, and I've been writing way more songs. I have like 38 new songs, and this album was 23 songs originally. We knocked it down to 10, not including those 13 songs. I have another 38 songs. So
good for you.
So I write every day. So I don't really remember how it came together, but it's usually like that these days. I put down a cool part, put it on my tape recorder. I can't figure out GarageBand or anything like that. I noticed here in the line, and it was the last song that Tony ever played. His last show was at the High Dive in Gainesville, Florida, of all places, where Less Than Jake is from. And you referenced Tony here, Tony Sly, of course, from No Use for a Name. I noticed you get Tony in a number of songs, and it's just it's really cool to see you still, pay tribute to your friend. Yeah, it's still, the worst death of my life. I know. Always sticks with me. I was in the car with Darla yesterday, and we were listening to Sad Bear, because Tony's like my kid's favorite band, especially because she's really good friends with Fiona. They're besties, and Kira, and I think about him all the time still. Yeah, well, it's evident. It's nice that you reference him. It's really cool. I call it the departure guitar riff. That thing comes in again here for just a moment, and then the first time you hear it is these crazy dual harmony Avenged Sevenfold leads come in for just a little bit. And then we hit
what I guess is a bridge part here.
It's supposed to be modeled after the bridge, the original one, but the lyrics take a departure. And I don't know what I was thinking with these lyrics. I just kind of go off the deep end.
No, this is where the song really gets interesting. The bridge lyrics are, "That's me and I got a new kitchen floor, but I still sleep with a close friend, the leather trunk next to my bed. That's me on the street and I'm walking with my kid. When she told me she knows everything I did because she just finished our book." The NOFX hepatitis book. If you haven't read it, check it out. It's pretty amazing. And then I guess that's Darla that actually says, "Dad."
Yeah.
Is that her voice?
Yeah. She didn't know I did that either. I was recording her at Universal Studios. "Dad." And I used that clip.
Dad. What the fuck? What the hell?
I don't think she's heard the song still.
She hasn't. Well, it's not hard. I'm sure she will.
I don't know. I'm scared.
So I've never asked you this. Do people at school know who her dad is?
Yeah, her friends know who I am.
Yeah.
But as far as I can tell, none of them have read the book. But yeah, that was the hard part about the book, is that everyone in the band was like, we all have kids. And that's the only reason why we didn't want to put certain parts in the book. But, everyone in the band, we did it anyway.
Yeah, well, that's how you roll.
You gotta really tell all. Yeah, and that's how you make a good book. It's by telling everything.
Well, the book's about as raw as it gets. One of my favorite reads. I'm a rock autobiography guy, and I think I loved it. I thought the book was awesome. The outro here,
the leather trunk next to my bed is cool too. If you see The Weekend at Fatty's, you can see the trunk where I put the bomb pops in there.
Oh, I saw the trunk.
So, I do have. Yeah.
It's on YouTube, folks. You can go check it out. The Weekend at Fatty's. It was back in September that NOFX did a quarantine backyard gig at Mike's house in Los Angeles with Fishbone was there. I know Get Dead was there, and Mike took the ladies of the Bomb Pops on a tour of his bedroom and went into his leather trunk and showed them his toys. And I'll leave it at that.
It's a nice trunk. It's a good napping trunk.
Well, it's a nice trunk, and I it's funny because the line, "But I still sleep with a close friend, the leather trunk next to my bed." So I took that as, well, you sleep with a close friend that's next to you, or maybe the leather trunk is the friend you're speaking of. Kind of a double entendre.
Oh yeah, I'm speaking of the leather trunk. I like to keep certain things around me. Like I have a leather blanket and leather pillows, and I do not go anywhere without them. I even bring them on the planes. Just I'm that weird of a guy. I'm that much of a fetishist that I like wearing leather or having it around me. It calms me. It's the weirdest thing. I'm so Spectrum.
That's good, because you need calming things, especially
sure.
when you travel as much as we do. The outro here is what I'm calling the fourth verse. Okay, there's still really no chorus in this song, and the lyrics of the song end like this: "What the fuck? What the hell? Why did she feel the need to tell me that she knows her dad is more than kinda weird? She knows that I do drugs. She knows that I'm kinky. But what keeps me up at night is that her friends know that I drink pee."
Yeah, and I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I'm hoping it's not true, because they haven't read the book. But one day she's going to ask. One day it's going to be true. Well, whatever. I got to live with it.
Right when the line comes in, "She knows that I do drugs," right there, those guitar solos come back in.
Yeah.
And was that your idea to have them do it? Because it adds such a cool thing to the song.
No, they just said they played a lot of leads and keep what we wanted, and I just kept them because it's cool.
Okay, so you guys did the track, you sent it to them, and then those guys laid down their guitar solos.
Yeah, they just went hog wild on it, and it's perfect because they're very signature leads, not NOFX leads.
I noticed here at the end, there's it says, the last line, of course, again is, "But what keeps me up at night is that her friends know that I drink pee." And then it's spoken at the end. You say, "Not that there's anything wrong with that." That's how the song ends. Was that just something you did in the vocal booth and you decided to keep it at Mixdown, or was that planned?
I think Hefe says it.
Oh, it is Hefe? Is that Hefe?
I don't know. I think so. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Okay.
We do wacky things. It wasn't in the original song. It was just in the booth.
Something I've never noticed, and I almost forgot, I want to bring this up real quick, going back to the original Linoleum. When I was listening to it, again, I noticed at the beginning, there's almost like 2, 3, 4 seconds of like this, it almost sounds like, I don't know, a musical or something happening before.
It's Hefe warming up his voice.
How the hell have I never noticed that? In all the years I've heard this track,
it's got to be loud.
Yeah, well, I was in headphones the past couple of days, really soaking this song up, and I'm like, what the hell is? I kept rewinding. I'm like, what is that? I've never noticed that before. So that was just something you guys left on the track just for the hell of it?
Oh yeah, we do that all the time. There's all kinds of coughs and weird noises.
That's really cool. So with Linoleum, at this point, can we get a definitive? We're giving Linoleum a rest. It's out to pasture. We'll maybe play Linoleum at the shows, but
you get no definitive anything because we have no idea what we play every night. We really don't.
Well, that's always been the beauty. That's always been the beauty. You get up that day and decide what you're going to play, and usually it works great. Sometimes it doesn't work great, as evidenced on the Warped Tour a number of years ago. When I see Smelly walking back from the stage and he's shaking his head, I'm like, "What's up?" And he goes, "I don't know why he wants to open with that goddamn Herb Alpert song."
Yeah, you never know with me.
You opened at Warped Tour, and the whole crowd was just like it was crickets.
Yeah.
For like 2 minutes, and then I think you launch into Perfect Government or Linoleum or Don't Call Me White, and the place goes berserk.
Yeah, never give the people what they want. That's my motto.
Well, we're getting near the end here. The new album is called Single Album. It's out February 26th. Anything else you'd like to add or plug, Mike? Go for it.
No, thanks for having me on your show. I don't like to plug. Well, I do like to plug things, but I'm not going to plug things on your show. I got my own plugs. I got a whole box of them.
Thank you.
I got a whole box of plugs.
What's up, everybody? I am Finn McKenty, host of the Punk Rock MBA podcast, part of the Sound Talent Media podcast network. My podcast is all about doing what you love for a living, and every week I sit down and talk to people who have done exactly that. For example, musicians like Tommy from Between the Buried and Me, Matt from Periphery, Lil Lotus and Shinigami, among many others, photographers, artists, designers, YouTubers like Glenn Fricker and Sarah Dici, and I unpack exactly how they got to where they are today with the goal of helping you do the same. So if that sounds cool, you can listen and subscribe at soundtalentmedia.com, and I'll see you there.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, all you have to do is submit your song and bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured band is the Super High-Tech Jet Fighters from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They're a power pop punk rock band that features Wes Griffith on guitar and vocals, Dave Brooks on guitar, Tommy Proceed on bass, and Logan Betts on the drums. You can find their music on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Here's a snippet of their track, Bad Eyes.
Gotta get away, gotta get away, gotta get away from you. She's batting her eyes right through all of the guys. They're falling one by one. Too easy days to come. She's batting her eyes. She caught me by
The Rap with Chris and Chris.
Punk and Drublic was actually one of the first punk rock albums I ever owned, so I think I can speak really intelligently about what the appeal of Linoleum is.
Yeah, well, what is the appeal to you? You know, you were a little younger than me. You say this was one of the first punk rock records you got. What was the immediate appeal to you?
You touched on this, but I think this is obvious. It's the first song on a classic punk rock album. The intro of the song, right off the bat, you have it starting with that rhythm, which my friends and I have coined the term, which I really hope you start to use this. That rhythm of that opening riff, that I like to call that bag of chips and a banana, bag of chips and a banana.
That's a new one.
You've never heard it before because we made it up. But bag of chips and a banana rhythm, of guitar that you hear in so many punk rock songs after, but then it's that build up. And then that song explodes and it's just so exciting. Like, I 100% understand why this song is so popular among punk rock fans for the intro alone. It's just, you imagine being at that punk rock show. Imagine, I doubt NOFX does this because they probably just want to either hold it back or not play it at all or piss people off or whatever. But imagine being at a NOFX show and being a teenager in the 90s and having NOFX come out and open with that song. Could you imagine the chaos that will ensue, the mosh pit that will ensue because of that?
Oh yeah, well, I've witnessed it. I've seen them open with that track before, and the place just goes absolutely berserk, goes bonkers, which is so cool to see. You know, this song's been covered by over 700 or something bands. First track on the record, you know, we talked about it in the episode, trying to figure out why this song. And again, I love the song. I know a ton of NOFX songs, in my opinion. I said to Mike that I feel are better than this one, and it's just amazing how people seem to latch onto this particular track.
I absolutely love NOFX, and having Fat Mike on the show was so exciting because not only so many aspects. As a songwriter, the guy's insane. As a bassist, the guy's insane. As a person, the guy's insane. I mean that with all due respect, but I'm sure that he would admit to that too. I mean, I've watched everything NOFX ever. Just such an interesting, cool guy. Not to mention the fact that through starting the record label Fat Records, which, you know, I've been following since Fat Music for Fat People, the very first comp, made me discover so many other bands that I went on to love. I feel like he's very responsible for me playing music for all these years, me being into punk rock. On so many levels, it was exciting to have Fat Mike on here. But I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with you, man, that for as big of a NOFX fan as I am, Linoleum is my favorite NOFX song. It is the iconic NOFX song. So I'm coming at it from a whole different perspective.
Well, you know, Chris, point well taken. I just think from where I'm coming from with it, Mike, sometimes his songs get blurred with the quickness of that Fat Records, the forbidden drum beat, they call it, you know, the double time drum beat, and just the quickness of the punk rock music. The intricacies in his chord changes and his melodies are just so awesome. He's just, I think he's undervalued songwriter in some circles. I think that he sometimes doesn't get the credit. Some of his compositions are just amazing. And Linoleum, while amazing, I think he has other stuff that's right up there with it.
Well, the other thing about Linoleum, you talked about the drum beat, is and why it appeals to so many people and why so many people want to cover it is, it's a fast punk rock song. People like to play fast. That's fun. If you're playing in a punk rock band with your friends and you're covering songs, what's more fun than Linoleum? And on top of that, here's one more interesting thing about this song you guys kind of touched on is, there's not a chorus. It's just kind of like a run-on sentence, for lack of a better way to put it. It's a story. There's no rhyming, but the chord progression is pretty much the same throughout the whole thing. There are slight changes, and you kind of got to just memorize when those happen. They don't necessarily happen at a certain time. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely, and I think that we kind of touched on that. Michael said there's no chorus in the song that is repetitive, and the non-repetitiveness of the lyrics and the words and the melody is kind of made up for in the repetitiveness of the music. The music is just that beat, and it's just so much the same that I think that that's something that people can really latch onto, because the rest of it's just there's really no rhyme scheme. It's just one long verse and a bridge.
And the other thing you guys weren't necessarily thinking about is, if you're in a punk rock band with your friends, you're not necessarily classically trained musicians. You're just dudes playing punk rock in a garage or something. A lot of NOFX songs are fucking hard. They're not easy songs. Not that this is easy, but at least this is a little bit easier to play or easier to figure out, I should say.
Well, and I think that Mike finally came into who he was as a writer with Punk and Drublic with this record. They put out 3 albums, I believe, 3 or 4 records, and then White Trash, 2 Heaves and a Bean came out, the record before Punk and Drublic, and that was when you really started to hear the NOFX that we know and love today. The first couple records were just kind of like demos. They were trying to find their footing. Mike was trying to find who he was as a writer, and by Punk and Drublic, he really hit his stride.
And Fat Mike, as far as a vocalist, which you guys didn't get into this too much, but there's so much character in his voice. You hear him sing one line, you're like, yeah, that's Fat Mike. It's almost along the same lines of like, you hear Snoop Dogg, you hear him rap one line, you're like, oh yeah, that's Snoop Dogg. There's so much to be said for the character of your voice, and you'd be hard pressed to find someone in punk rock with a more recognizable voice than Fat Mike.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that what he may lack in technical vocal ability or prowess, he makes up for in character, 100%. He doesn't have to sing perfect. It can be a little sloppy. It can be, like he says, you can have a wrong note here or there, or something that rubs, and you just leave it. He talked about on the new record, I guess there's some song that he sang the wrong lyric or something. He says, yeah, but it kind of worked, so I just left it, and I think that's the beauty of being NOFX.
Yeah, I love that you talked about the dog named Dog versus the dog named Bob thing. You and I, before you recorded this episode, you were like, what's he say there? And I thought it was dog named Bo for some reason. I guess maybe I was thinking about like Barack Obama's dog or something. I don't know why I thought that for a second, but then I was like, I looked it up and listened to it. I'm like, oh, he says Bob, but you're right. Saying a dog named Dog is the way funnier line. He should have said that. But then when you have him on here, yeah, he cleared that up. He's like, yeah, I say dog named Dog live. I don't even think he knew what he said on the record.
No, yeah, he does say it live, and I knew I had heard it a million times. I'm like, why do I think it was Dog? And that's why. I've definitely heard the song live more times than I've heard it probably on record. We've done so much touring with NOFX over the years. So that's really funny, though, that he brought that up, because I thought for sure, Chris, that this was going to be another situation of dentist and doctor from the Sum 41 episode.
Right, yeah, so did I. I was getting ready for it. I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. But hey, one thing I could say, man, is I laughed a lot during that episode. Definitely seems like a super funny guy. One of those people I've looked up to musically for a long time and always thought maybe I would meet along the way. It's pretty cool that you're friends with him, but it's pretty cool that I'm friends with you, man.
Well, thanks for saying that. Yeah, he's a very interesting guy, and I've had some of my most favorite and best times on tour with him and NOFX.
Hey, Chris, you know who I've had some of my most favorite and best times with?
Who's that, Chris?
My dog, Andre, and all the dogs I've ever met, which leads us into this month's charity.
I was going to say, that's such a coincidence. This month's charity is based around dogs, Chris. It's Biggie's Bullies out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They are a foster home-based rescue founded in 2011. Their mission is to rescue and rehome pit bull-type dogs in Pittsburgh and the surrounding areas. They are a wonderful organization. Please head over to KristaMakesADifference.com and donate if you can to a wonderful cause.
Yeah, go to KristaMakesADifference.com and make a difference in the life of some pit bull type dogs.
Absolutely. I'm an animal lover. Chris is an animal lover. So if you can spare anything, please head over there and support this month's fundraiser. We'd really appreciate it. If you could also check out KristaMakes.com. That'll redirect you to my YouTube page. I rarely talk about that on here. I'd like you to head over there and check out my custom songs that I do. Check out animation that Chris Fafalios does, which is really, really good. And if you'd like a custom song for me, you can email me at KristaMakes@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. And what else, Chris?
There's a lot of great stuff at KristaMakes.com, man. You got some Less Than Jake videos on there. You have lots of great custom songs you've done. I mean, you could go down a rabbit hole at KristaMakes.com for a good while, for sure.
And if you do head over there, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah. And if you could, join our Facebook group. The more the merrier. It's a free group. It's free to join. Come hang out with us. We'd love to have you be a part of it.
Absolutely. It's free of charge. And speaking of something that's not free of charge, but maybe you would want or need it for a reasonable charge. If you're out there and you're trying to start a podcast, or you need some help with some editing or some ideas for your existing podcast, I and my good friend Matt Kelly of the Geekscape Network have started a business called We Know Podcasting. And we can help you with everything from the theme song for your podcast to a logo for your podcast, to consultations about your podcast, to the actual editing, which is a very important part of a good podcast. You don't want to hear people meandering, and you don't want to hear their vocalized pauses and stuff like that. We can take care of you there. Just hit us up at info@weknowpodcasting.com and we will help you out.
And they will help you out. I think I had mentioned this before, Chris. I didn't know one thing about podcasting until I met you, and I am in complete great hands with you. So yes, please hit up Chris and Matt. They will take care of you if you'd like to start your own podcast, or if you have an existing one that you would like tweaked. They are the team to talk to. So once again, I want to thank this week's guest, Fat Mike, for joining us. It was a lot of fun, and we'll see you next week.
Hey there, I am Johnny Christ from Avenged Sevenfold, and I've got a podcast called Drinks with Johnny you're going to want to check out. I sit down with a bunch of different people from all different walks of life, from professional wrestlers to actors, comedians, fighters, musicians, everything in between. I'm just looking to make some friends and have a good time doing it. So if that sounds like something you're into, go check out Drinks with Johnny, streaming everywhere now.